Only a few weeks after his bout with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson had his most recent breakdown. The former heavyweight champion lost control once more, at the age of 58. It wasn't in the ring this time. Tyson is seen assaulting a person outside a hotel in Las Vegas on security footage. Police had him handcuffed within hours. However, this wasn't your typical celebrity altercation. Even the officers were taken aback by what Tyson said after he was arrested. A dark side that has always been there is revealed by the outburst. Supporters believed incarceration had altered him. They were mistaken. On June 30, 1966, Mike Tyson was born at Cumberland Hospital in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. His father was never truly dependable. PCL Tyson, his biological father, disappeared too soon. When Mike was just 2 years old, Jimmy Kirkpatrick, his mother's companion, also left. As a result, Lorna, his mother, found it difficult to raise the family by herself. They wound up in Brownsville, one of the most dangerous districts in New York, after bouncing around various parts of Brooklyn. There was a lot of violence, drugs, and criminality there. Mike hardly had shoes to wear, their flat was small, and they were never wealthy. He was deeply affected by the lack of a parent, and the burden of poverty. He quickly started to be shaped by those streets. They moved into 178 Amboy Street in Brownsville, when Mike was only 7 years old. He was already enveloped by gang culture by the age of 10. He learned early on from the streets that being tougher than others was necessary to survive. Mike was an easy target, because he was short, quiet, and had spectacles. He was humiliated, robbed, and beaten by bullies. Raising pigeons on the roof gave him solace. However, one day a child from the neighborhood broke one of his birds' necks. Mike also had an inward breakdown. He brutally thrashed the youngster. He carried that anger with him. He turned to that same fire for protection. No one viewed him as weak again after that. Mike had been arrested 38 times by the time he was 13. He became involved with the Jolly Stompers gang. They broke into houses, robbed people, and fought rivals all the time. Fighting with the fist was common. Before going pro, Mike said he got into at least 150 street fights. While hiding from the police, he learned how to punch inside abandoned buildings. He was stripped and left half dead after being beaten by a bunch of bigger boys. Mike vowed never to allow such to happen to him again. That instant became gasoline. He practiced covertly by striking concrete, walls, and other solid objects. He was no longer only fighting children. He was battling the recollection of his powerlessness. Mike was sent to the Tryon School for Boys in upstate New York when he was 12 years old for stealing a woman's pocketbook. The year was 1978. He was a seasoned repeat offender already. Tryon was not so much a school as it was a punishment camp. Cold, silent, and severe. During the 9 months he was there, his mother never paid him a visit. However, this location turned into Mike's story's initial turn. Counselor and former boxer Bobby Stewart saw something different in Mike's spar. He was notable for his strength, quickness, and unadulterated savagery. He was initiated to boxing by Stewart in a unique method. The gloves fit. There was a conduit for the aggression. Stewart then made the call that would alter Tyson's course in life. When Mike was 14, he encountered Custodiometer in 1980, a great who had trained champions like Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres. Cus was 73 years old at the time. Mike was already more than 200 pounds of muscle and fury when he entered Cus's home gym in Catskill. Cus developed fighters from the inside out, rather than merely training them. He informed Mike that he had the potential to become the world's youngest heavyweight champion. Mike took him at his word. Someone treated him like he mattered for the first time. He accepted Cus's invitation to live and train at his house full-time. Mike did more than just box after that day. He did some studying. He paid attention. In the dark, he rushed through the snow. He developed his ability to cover, move his head, and deliver the ideal uppercut. Cus referred to terror as a blessing. He claimed that mastering fear, rather than allowing it to control you, was the secret to success. Cus became Mike's legal guardian, following the death of his mother in 1982. Mike was 16 years old. His new residence was no longer a house. It was a boot camp. Before the sun rose, he got up at 4 in the morning, stretched quietly, and ran for miles. He had returned after a few hours of sleep for grueling afternoon workout. Before sparring, he performed 800 neck crunches, 500 dips, 2,500 sit-ups, and 2,000 squats every day. He studied every move in classic boxing movies, particularly those starring Jack Dempsey. He would play 10 rounds with mature men around lunchtime. Even though his body ached, he continued. Just fists, perspiration, and the voice of profanity in his ear informing him that the world belonged to the one who wanted it most. No friends, no distractions. Tyson's amateur record was already drawing attention by the time he was prepared to participate. There were records with 24 victories and 3 defeats. According to others, he has 6 losses and 48 victories. Regardless of the figure, his manner was terrifying. In 1984, at the age of 16, he defeated Orbit Poe to win a gold medal at the Junior Olympics. He won the Golden Gloves Award later that year. Even before the bell rung, opponents were afraid of him. They would shatter under his dead-eyed gaze. Despite his contentious loss against Henry Tillman at the 1984 Olympic trials, which prevented him from competing in the Games, he continued to gain momentum. Judges could never speak louder than his fists. Tyson entered the ring for his first professional bout at the Plaza Convention Center in Albany on March 6, 1985. He was 18. Hector Mercedes, his rival, lacked the fire but had more experience. Tyson crushed him with a crisp uppercut in just 1 minute and 47 seconds. The man crashed against the ropes. There wasn't even time for the crowd to get comfortable. The altercation made news. A young man from Brownsville had just made his public debut. Tyson engaged in 15 fights from March to December of that year. He knocked out each and every one of them. 11 of them failed to go past the initial round. He turned into an unstoppable storm. He engaged in combat with Donnie Long in Harrisburg on October 9, 1985. Long's jaw was snapped with a single hook on the left. In less than 60 seconds, the combat was over. Medical personnel raced in. Not everyone was merely observing Tyson. They were getting ready. With a single blow, he was taking out seasoned pros and leaving as if it didn't matter. Tyson faced Jesse Ferguson on a national stage on February 16, 1986. ABC broadcast it. Everyone in the audience anticipated another quick knockout. In the 6th, however, the doctor broke up the battle when a head-on collision left Ferguson with a serious cut. Tyson was enraged. He desired to complete it according to his specifications. He was obviously furious. This battle was a turning point. He was no longer merely a fighter. He was a machine that craved devastation. People crowded in. He was trailed by reporters. He was a constant topic of discussion among broadcasters. He was still young, unbeaten, and dangerous. Tyson remained anonymous at the gym even when he was at the height of his celebrity. He trained in silence in 1986 as the world watched him ascend. Raw knuckles, bleeding hands, and restless nights. Discipline keeps you sharp, but fame can make you weak, Cuss had repeatedly cautioned him. In order to strengthen his legs, Tyson ran barefoot through the streets, sparred with men twice his age, and screamed through his pain in empty gyms. On some days he would not talk to anyone. He trained as if his life depended on it, and perhaps in his mind it did. Mike Tyson entered the Las Vegas Hilton in November 1986, with 27 victories, 25 of which came via knockout. Even though he was only 20, he entered the ring that night like a storm that no one could stop, and the WBC heavyweight champion, Trevor Berbick, who had years of experience and the title Tyson desired, was standing across from him. The bout was short-lived, as Tyson's fists had already knocked Berbick off balance by the 2nd round. It wasn't just the knockout that stunned the world. Tyson didn't just win a title that night, becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history, breaking Floyd Patterson's record set back in 1956. Berbick fell again at 2 minutes and 35 seconds into round 2, his legs too shaky to stand, and the referee had no choice but to stop the fight. Something had changed in boxing, and Tyson's power remained unwavering. 4 months later, on March 7, 1987, Tyson defended his title against James Bone Crusher Smith, which was a frustrating fight as Smith kept clinching, holding Tyson, and dragging him into a slow grind. Tyson won by unanimous decision and earned the WBA title. The scores were 120-106, 119-107, and 119-107. Tyson still landed 191 punches out of 317, while Smith only managed 51 out of 233. One body shot from Smith in round 4 rattled Tyson enough to make him stumble, a rare sight, Tyson later acknowledged. In the 6th round, Tyson destroyed Pinkland Thomas, who had only lost once and was known for taking punches, after a flurry of 15 unanswered punches and a vicious right cross. It wasn't a pretty fight, but it demonstrated that Tyson could prevail even when things didn't go his way. The fight took place at the Hilton in Las Vegas on May 30, 1987. By August 1987, Tyson had the opportunity to bring everything together when he faced Tony Tucker in Las Vegas, where he went the full 12 rounds. This fight wasn't about brute force, rather it was about timing, movement, and control. Tyson was changing from a brawler to a machine. The referee intervened, and Tyson had another TKO. The scores were decisive: 119-1-1, 118, 1-13, 116, 1-12. Tucker delivered a powerful uppercut early in the first round, briefly shaking Tyson, but Tyson continued to press, take punches, and give back more. With that victory, he simultaneously held the WBA, WBC, and IBF belts, making him the world's undisputed heavyweight champion at the age of 21. No one had done that since the 1970s. On January 22, 1988, Tyson defeated Larry Holmes, a 38-year-old former champion who had never been knocked out before. In round 4, Tyson sent Holmes to the canvas 3 times, and Holmes was done. Not only did Tyson defeat a legend, but it was also a personal victory because Holmes had insulted Customato, Tyson's late trainer and father figure. Then came the fight that would go down in history. On June 27, 1988, Tyson took on Michael Spinks, who was undefeated and held the lineal championship with a 3-1-0 record. The fight lasted 91 seconds, and after one left hook and a few vicious combinations, Spinks was knocked out cold. On March 21, 1988, Tyson traveled to Tokyo to fight Tony Tubbs. Tubbs had only lost once and appeared confident in round 1, but in round 2, Tyson's body punches changed everything. The fight earned $21 million from pay-per-view alone, earning it the title of Round of the Year by Ring magazine. By this time, Tyson was more than just a champion. He was a phenomenon, earning up to $30 million per fight. His lifestyle matched his punch, loud and reckless. He broke his hand fighting Mitch Green in Harlem in August 1988, and in September, he crashed his BMW into a tree. At 2 minutes and 21 seconds, a left hook folded Tubbs over. He never competed at championship level again. Police were called to his house in October, after he threw furniture out the window. His wife, Robin Given, left the house and filed for divorce. A nightclub battery charge followed in December. The ring's owner, the champion, was starting to lose control outside the ring. However, in February 1989, he returned to the ring against Frank Bruno. After 8 months, Tyson returned, still grieving the loss of his mother. Bruno fought until the 5th round, but Tyson's uppercuts closed his eye and ended the fight. Tyson acknowledged that his grief affected him, but Bruno's first punch, which shook him, didn't stop him. He ended it with blood, power, and fury. On July 21, 1989, Carl Williams entered the ring. Williams was knocked out in just 93 seconds by another quick one, a straight right, making Tyson's victory the second fastest, after Spinks. However, behind the scenes, problems continued to accumulate. His relationship with Robin Gibbons had broken down, distractions were mounting, and by 1990, everything had fallen apart. James "Buster" Douglas was a 42-1 underdog when Mike Tyson entered the ring on February 11 in Tokyo, trailing 37-0. Tyson dropped Douglas in the 8th round, but in round 10, Douglas landed an uppercut and a flurry that sent Tyson to the canvas, after he fumbled with his mouthguard and was unable to get up in time. Tyson's invincibility vanished in a single night, and the aftermath quickly became ugly. Tyson's promoter, Don King, was accused of manipulating Tyson's purse, and Tyson discovered this and punched King in the face during a heated meeting. His team was broken, and his trust was lost. It was over. It was one of the biggest upsets in sports history. In an attempt to recover, he faced Henry Tillman on March 17, 1990, and defeated him in the first round, but it felt desperate rather than dominant. Later that year, on December 8, Tyson faced Alex Stewart, and although he won the 12-round decision, the bout was close, and Stewart landed more clean shots than he should have. Then came the breakdown of Tyson's marriage to Robin Given, which ended in a final divorce in 1991. After Given accused Tyson of violence and called him abusive and unstable. Tyson's face was bruised and bloodied, and the defense that had previously made him untouchable seemed to fade. People were no longer just watching Tyson win, they were watching him change. On February 7, 1992, everything fell apart when Mike Tyson was arrested for the rape of 18-year-old Miss Black America contestant Desiree Washington. 3 days after the trial started, on February 10, he was found guilty. The legal battles continued, costing him almost $9 million, and his personal life was in disarray, with the public starting to notice the cracks. On March 7, 1992, he entered the Indiana Youth Center, where he was attacked within weeks by an inmate who slashed him in the showers with a shank, leaving a deep wound that required stitches. Tyson was separated from the general population following several fights and spent time in solitary confinement after the court sentenced him to 6 years in prison and a $30 fine. During those 3 years, something changed. He became an Islamic convert and adopted the name Malik Abdul Aziz, read the Quran, wrote letters to Malcolm X's family, and made an effort to change. He called it the worst period of his life, and the media didn't know the whole story until much later. But the chaos never left him. He was caught threatening guards, and in one instance, he bit the hand of a prison guard in a fit of rage. Tyson was released in March 1995, but he didn't return to peace. Instead, he came out with mounting debt, legal restrictions, and a damaged reputation. After being imprisoned for 3 years, Mike Tyson returned to the ring on November 19, 1995, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, promising to fight again and destroying anyone who stood in his way. The world witnessed a man attempting to reclaim more than just a title. His fists were clenched, his anger simmering beneath the surface. Frank Bruno, the current WBC heavyweight champion, was standing across from him. Bruno had studied Tyson's previous bouts and trained hard, so he was ready for battle. But it only took 3 rounds. Tyson threw 16 unanswered punches that overpowered Bruno and ended the fight. The referee intervened, the crowd erupted, and Tyson had won again. The world was even more shocked by what followed, though, when Tyson revealed in his post-fight interview that he had smoked a lot of marijuana to cope with his depression and his desire to die while incarcerated. That one admission revealed a side of Tyson that the world had not seen, transforming a comeback into something more complex and messy. Less than a year later, on September 7, 1996, Tyson fought Bruce Seldon for the WBA and IBF titles in Las Vegas. This time, the fight made headlines because of how quickly it ended, as Seldon lost twice in the first round. He was a fighter again, but this time, his trauma was still there. Fans shouted, "Fix!" as the punch barely struck him the second time, causing them to scream. Don King, who promoted both fighters, made sure the event generated more than 700,000 pay-per-view purchases. Seldon made $5 million that night, but he lost the title and the respect of the sport. Even referee Richard Steele hesitated, believing the first knockdown was a mistake. The money came in, but something was wrong. Was Seldon paid to lose? Was this all a prelude to a fight with Evander Holyfield? Seldon denied it, saying he trained hard and didn't take a dive, but it didn't matter. The damage was done, and that night became one of the most contentious in boxing history. Then, on June 28, 1997, Tyson and Holyfield faced off in a rematch that was meant to be redemption, but ended up becoming history for all the wrong reasons. Tyson was furious because Holyfield had repeatedly headbutted him, causing cuts above his eyes. By the 3rd round, Tyson lost it and bit off a piece of Holyfield's ear, causing blood to spill. As Tyson spat the piece of flesh out onto the canvas, Holyfield flinched in agony. The entire event was captured on camera, and over 1.99 million people watched live. Anarchy ensued. Police surrounded the ring, Tyson was disqualified, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission fined him $3 million and banned him for a year. Later, Tyson claimed that he had no other option, and that he couldn't continue to be butted in that manner. However, the second bite came, resulting in another chunk and another moment lost to fury. The match was never restarted. Holyfield required 20 stitches, and Tyson left the fight looking like the man who bit off someone's ear in front of the world, rather than a champion. In October 1998, after his ban was lifted, Tyson was supposed to be rebuilding after his mind started to unravel in public. However, after a near crash with another driver in New York, Tyson lost it again, jumped out of his car, chased the man down, beat on the windshield with a golf club, and kicked the man in the groin. The District Court of Montgomery County charged him with misdemeanor second-degree assault, but the charges were dropped due to lack of injury, even without a conviction. The message was clear. Tyson was losing his mind. His anger was not limited to the ring, it was now present in his home, on the streets, and in every aspect of his life. When Tyson entered the ring for what many believed would be his final major bout, on June 8, 2002 in Memphis. He was facing Lennox Lewis. Tyson snarled into microphones during the press conference, claiming he wanted to eat Lewis's kids, and he received $30 million for simply showing up. Referee Eddie Cotton counted to 10 as the bout ended at 2 minutes and 25 seconds, with Lewis declared the winner after Tyson took a heavy right that rattled him in the 7th round, and Lewis's clean right cross in the 8th that sent Tyson to the canvas. Tyson was 35 at the time of the knockout, which the ring named Knockout of the Year. His time as a serious contender was over. He would fight 3 more times, but never seriously. His fire was waning. Tyson's final professional fight took place in Washington, D.C., on June 11, 2005, against 38-year-old Kevin McBride, who hadn't won a fight in more than a year. McBride wasn't a household name. He wasn't expected to win, but Tyson showed up exhausted, mentally and physically. Although he wasn't knocked out, he was exhausted. He headbutted McBride and twisted his arm, earning him 2 points. By the end of the 6th round, Tyson was unable to stand and sat on his stool, refusing to continue. He abruptly retired, saying in the post-fight interview, "I don't have the guts to be in this sport anymore. I'm no longer interested in this." In 2003, Tyson filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, citing $23 million in debt and spending $9 million in Bengal tigers. His record was 50 wins, 6 losses, and 44 knockouts. He had fought his final round, but the punches continued outside the ring. He bought mansions, lost millions in lawsuits, paid a $9 million divorce settlement, slept on friends' couches, lived in shelters, and spent $2 million in cars, many of which were wrecked in fits of rage, and one of them mauled a woman that same year. His bankruptcy documents listed the IRS, attorneys, and his ex-wife as creditors. In 2020, at the age of 54, Tyson returned for an exhibition fight with Roy Jones Jr., landing 38 punches. The bout ended in a draw, but the world saw a shadow of the fighter he once was. Tyson had fallen hard, not in the ring but in life, and he couldn't stay away even after retirement. Tyson then faced Jake Paul at T Stadium on November 15, 2024. Even though Tyson lost by unanimous decision after 8 rounds, the event brought in $20 million. 65,000 people packed the stands. It was sanctioned. It was real. Tyson's name still carried weight, even if his punches didn't. And his life outside the ring was equally chaotic. In 1988, he married Robin Given, but less than a year later, their marriage ended. Given claimed that their union was torturous, that Tyson had threatened her with a knife, and that she had considered suicide. Tyson paid Given $10 million in the divorce settlement, which at the time was one of the largest settlements in sports. Interviews revealed a terrified woman and a man dismissing it. The world began to view Tyson as more than just a boxer. He was dangerous outside of the ring. He married Monica Turner in 1997, and the two of them had 2 children, Michael and Rambla. However, by 2003, Turner filed for divorce, accusing Tyson of having affairs with strippers and cheating on her on a regular basis, according to court documents. Then came Lakeha Spicer, who married Tyson in 2009 and had 2 children, Milan and Morocco. But tragedy struck months later when Tyson's daughter from a previous relationship, 4-year-old Exodus, was playing on a treadmill. Turner was granted primary custody, and Tyson lost another family, another home, and another piece of himself. Tyson said he never recovered and still hasn't. Tyson has 8 children in total: Amir, Ramla, Milan, Morocco, D'Amato, and 3 others. Some were born from flings, some out of love. A cord from the machine wrapped around her neck, acting as a noose. She was taken to the hospital and passed away the following day. But he wasn't present for the majority of them. He acknowledges that he missed years, birthdays, and graduations. In 2011, he made an effort to reconcile with his oldest child, Amir. They spoke and reconnected, but others continued to avoid him. Tyson talks about them frequently, and the regret he feels weighs on his voice like a burden he can't get rid of. Then something changed. Tyson took a different kind of stage in 2013 when he launched Undisputed Truth, a one-man Broadway production. Directed by Spike Lee and written with Randy Johnson, the show ran for 7 weeks, earning $624,000 in its first week and eventually grossing $14 million. Tyson stood under lights and told his story. The drugs, the women, the breakdowns. The world saw Tyson differently. not just as a boxer, but as a man who fell hard and got back up, not to fight others but to fight himself. That battle, it seems, is still going on today. In 2014, Tyson declared he was sober and admitted hiring dozens of prostitutes.